Oh, White's up in the hands of A.J. Green as the clock hits 0. A 52-yard. 23-year-old Tony Pike waits for the snap, has the football, short drop, lobs one down the sideline for Binns. He's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown!
And a high fly ball way back in center field. It is out right here. A grand slam home run for Joey Votto. And this one belongs to the Reds.
You have your shirt on?
Last I checked, I did. Yes, why?
Just curious.
Now a steal by Gary Clark and a breakaway to the rim for a thunderous tomahawk jam.
Get you one, big fella. Then a strike for Bertoni, and the magical moment belongs to Leonardo Bertoni. He opens the FC Cincinnati account with a goal in the 14th minute. Double dip on the ice cream cone.
Welcome back. And it's another crazy week with the college football Power 5 Invitational. Because we're not calling it the CFP anymore. It's not the college football playoff. They're not letting any friends in. We're not friends. Let's be real. It's a mess. This whole thing is a mess. I don't know how we've now dropped to number 9 in the college football playoff, yet we're still somehow at 6 in both we moved up to 6 in the AP and the coaches poll. Gentlemen, pardon the punctuation, starts now. What do you got here?
You've been waiting a good 15 minutes to say that.
Yeah,
I know you.
This is an atrocity, is what it is.
That's a big word.
It is a big word, Ed, and it's needed because you've got a committee that thinks that it's okay to just be like, well, we're going to pick and choose the things that we want to look at for each individual team, but not apply the same rules to everybody.
Well, yeah, because if you were going to worry about the top 25 wins of teams that are currently ranked in the CFP, well, then what about Georgia, who just jumped us, who also has
doesn't matter.
0 wins in the top 25 in the CFP currently.
And 2 losses.
That's correct. We don't worry about the 2 losses because, that was against different teams, because then you have to worry about, what about Iowa State and their 2 losses, and Florida with their 2 losses, because that it doesn't matter that Florida lost to 3-5 LSU at home. It was probably the shoe or the fog. I'm not really sure what it could have been. I guess maybe it's Louisiana teams. Let's talk about that, because you have Iowa State losing to Louisiana early in the season, and that was one of their 2 losses. They lost by 17. You had Florida lose to LSU, albeit by 3, but it was a home game. And then you have undefeated Cincinnati, who it doesn't really matter who they play. There's still people on Twitter who apparently don't understand how 2020 rules work, where your entire schedule was thrown in the toilet saying, well, they need to schedule people. Who are we supposed to schedule?
Here's the other thing. Anytime UC tries to schedule somebody big, they're like, well, they either end up buying themselves out of the contract or waiting until Tommy Tuberville's our coach.
COVID.
Well, in all fairness, we did get to play Ohio State last year, and we all know how that went, because Ohio State fans love to throw that stat out there, because apparently that applies to this year. Because,
I'm pretty sure that that Florida didn't fall below UC because the last time they played them. That's relevant.
Well, that's why Ohio State will never travel to Cincinnati to play a game again.
Oh, well, that's not going to happen.
No, not in Paul Brown. Get out of here. They'll never play here again.
Ever.
Hey, but at least we're getting 5,800 fans are going to be allowed at the game this weekend.
We'll get to that. I'm still not done with this college football playoff mess.
So Chris Vanini, who is Athletic reporter for the Athletic. I guess he jumped in on he just tweeted out like 10 minutes ago. He said he jumped in on the CFP call to ask committee chair Gary Barta 2 questions. What about Iowa State's resume is better than Coastal Carolina's? And given these rankings, how is the system fair? It's a pretty extensive answer, completely unsatisfactory, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he says that they've got some Iowa State. Speaking about Iowa State, they've got some losses, but I think their defense has gotten better, and they've got the best running back in the country. So I think that we can put them there. And Coastal Carolina is undefeated and having a terrific year. They've got 2 wins against top 20 teams, and then he just keeps
BYU and
the BYU game was one of the most exciting football games of the season, and they played a game this past weekend, an under 500 Troy team, and it took them until the last 30. They were behind, and I'm sure you watched the game. Okay, so like you bring this up that they play this under 500 team, and you they're clearly slighting them from. I mean, they had to play Troy. They're on their schedule, right? They don't get to pick. They don't get to pick what their record's going to be when they come up against them.
What their schedule is, correct? Yeah.
Right, so they're under 500. They play them. They win, right? They pull it out. They win. It wasn't their best win of the year, right? But it's a win. And then you slight them. You say, well, we can't. They just don't stack up against anybody else. Right? Well, but they've got those 2 top. They've got those CFP wins, right? But then you have a Florida team that, Shoegate, whatever you want to call it, that's not the reason they lost. Like that, that's like the one thing people are going to point to and be like, oh, they threw a shoe, so they lost. Well, they should have been in that position in the first place. That throwing a shoe and getting this penalty at that point in the game is going to make them lose, right?
I can't believe we're even having this conversation.
I know, it's crazy. But
it's a dumb conversation.
I mean, LSU is terrible. They have like 50 scholarship players on their team.
And they started a true freshman. Yes.
At quarterback.
Yes.
They're like LSU has a solid history. I mean, we all know that they've done great things for the city of Cincinnati by sending Joe Burrow up here, but you've got a team that's they're atrocious. They're terrible.
So
and they beat Florida, who then drops one spot.
Let's not forget
about UC doesn't play. Granted, I mean, COVID, they're not going to force a game. I mean, they have to follow those guidelines, let's talk, right?
That shouldn't penalize us because it didn't penalize Ohio State, who also hasn't played since November 21st.
No,
it hasn't played as many games as us either.
So
Tim Brown of Fox Sports tweeted out that the college football playoff is flat out wrong, and I'll no longer recognize it as a playoff. I'm done with it. I test code for pure playoff privilege. It's not a CFB playoff. It's a Power 5 invitational, and from this point forward, I'll call it that. Go Bearcats, dismissed beyond belief, dissed beyond belief.
He liked one of my tweets that I tweeted at him, just saying that he was just out here spitting fire.
Well, then you got Jay Biller. Cincinnati really messed up. The Bearcats should have scheduled Louisiana, lost by 2 touchdowns, and then they would be risen to the CFP rankings. Every game counts, please.
So you remember our friend from last week, old Gary Barta from Iowa.
Oh, yeah, my guy.
So old Gary Barta's out here.
What's he saying?
Basically saying that, where is it at? Oh, I had it and I can't find it. He just talks out of both sides of his mouth, essentially. He faulted Cincinnati for not having played since November 21, while others around them have played, quote, 2 or 3 games.
Oh, that's right. That's our fault. I forgot.
Yep. Thanks, Gary.
I mean, then you got, Joel Klatt. He's out here, rooting for Cincy. Talking about how, Cincy and Florida each dropped a spot. One of them didn't even play a game, and then the other lost to a 3-win team with 54 scholarship players and a true freshman quarterback.
We had my guy.
I realize a lot of the stuff that we are going to be throwing out here tonight is plastered all over Twitter by people with a lot more followers than we have, but it's the truth.
So here's a question that I'm going to throw to you guys, because it's looking like we're going to, by all predictions at this point, play Georgia in the Peach Bowl for the
race them
for the NY6. Well, hang on. First off, we got to get through this game against Tulsa, right?
Absolutely, can't look
and
past
people are saying if we beat Tulsa by a small margin, Coastal might jump us for that NY6 game. So that's a real possibility of something that could potentially happen.
Where are they at, 12?
Brace yourselves for that.
Where are they at, 12?
I stopped paying attention when they said 9. So the other thing I want you to think about is if we do get scheduled to play Georgia in the Peach Bowl, what if Georgia has COVID all of a sudden and can't play the game?
We win.
Do they forfeit? Do you reschedule? Because it's a bowl game, so you can kind of reschedule it whenever you want.
Well, you could, but I mean, here's the thing: is if the team that you're scheduled to play in this can't play,
do you invite another team that can?
Then they've got to.
I would.
Do you know? I mean, the
money
involved, the money involved in that alone.
I'd like to think that's what happens. But what Power 5 team is going to want to play Cincinnati and end up losing? And if they do, are we going to get the same excuse like, oh, well, we didn't really care. We had seniors sitting out.
No, I mean, in that case, what they're going to get is, well, we didn't know we were going to have to play. And so, we were game planning to play Team X, and now we had to play Team Y, so, like, whatever. And you know what? If UC goes in there and lays an egg and gets smacked in the head and loses a bowl game, right? So, but do we just not give them a chance? Is that not a thing anymore? I mean,
well, that's another thing people are bringing up. That's another thing people are bringing up about the top 4 is, why should Cincinnati be in the top 4? They're just going to get stomped out by Alabama. Well, let's be real. Whoever matches up against Alabama is going to get their throat stepped on by Alabama. It doesn't matter who's going in there. It's the fact that you don't even want to let us play.
I think UC's defense holds its own.
Possibly.
It's just the fact that they don't even want to let us. They don't want to let us play the game. It's absolute crap, and it's the whole thing has been set up since last week to make sure that Cincinnati does not make the college football playoff when they jumped Iowa State for no effing reason.
And then here's the other
down on it
sickening. Here's the other sickening thought that I had. And since we're doing that kind of thing right now, it's 2020 and we've had 2 crappy weeks in a row. So next week is when they lock in the teams, right, for the playoff. So the College Football Playoff Committee is going to start their show, and they're going to announce that they expanded the playoff to 8 teams, and UC is going to be 9th again as the ultimate troll job.
Oh,
that's what's going to happen.
No.
McAfee last week was saying the same thing. Somebody created a bracket in that scenario and had UC in there, and Pat talking about big heads talking about us. Pat was saying that UC is being completely disrespected by not being in the college football playoffs.
Well, at that point, you have to consider too that you're going to have all the championship games, which are going to involve every team ahead of us outside of what A&M and who's playing in the SEC. I think it's
Florida and Alabama.
Yeah, Florida and Alabama. So Georgia would be excluded as well. So A&M and Florida are fine. They're not going to lose their conference championship. But
you mean A&M and Georgia?
Yes, sorry.
Be able to win.
But
so you're looking at the 3rd and 4th place teams essentially in the SEC.
Notre Dame and Clemson are going to be playing. So one of them is going to lose and have 2 losses.
And not drop at all. That's basically that's what the committee is saying here.
The crazy thing about all of this,
it doesn't matter.
The crazy thing about all of this is the fact that there has never been a 2-loss team in the college football playoff ever.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing: is you look at Florida, after you look
years,
and no one's and surprisingly, if they have, I haven't seen it. No one has asked them why Florida only dropped 1 spot after they got beat by LSU.
Because they have because there isn't an answer for it. How do you respond to that? Well, we don't
SEC.
We don't like G5.
And the money.
At this point, it's already
dollar bills, y'all.
Oh,
At
I'm
this
surprised
point,
they
it's
have
already
excuse.
very evident that I mean, they don't even have to cover it up anymore.
It's trash.
I'm surprised the excuse that UC doesn't travel hasn't. The UC fans don't travel hasn't been dropped yet.
Right, in a season when they're going to have like 5. Well, no, they'll probably let bowl games have full capacity crowds.
As we're talking about Cincinnati fans, this seems as good a time as any to move on to the fact that for the first time all season, Cincinnati got to sell tickets, and Governor DeWine nearly wrecked that for all of us.
You ruined that shit.
So
sorry, man.
So they and it's still a little bit screwed up. All right, if you look at it, the ODH, the Ohio Department of Health, came out and said that they gave the same percentage of
seating capacity
of fans that they allowed for, I believe, the Bengals, and it's like 18%, give or take, right? Of for like the Browns and the Bengals. I don't know what the crew got. I don't know if it was that same kind of 18%
soccer
or what.
It's probably the same amount of fans that show up on a regular basis anyway.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, enough fans show up to right. But that's what I'm getting at, which is kind of funny, is the percentage that they were like, look, we gave the same amount, but it would appear that the percentage that they based it off of the capacity for soccer at Nippert and not the 40,000 capacity for football.
Shocker. I mean, DeWine didn't even get the memo, though, until it was brought up to his attention today at the podium. And he said, I don't know.
He said, I don't know what happened.
Ohio State told me they weren't allowed to have fans. I don't know. I'm in Columbus. We're too far away from Cincinnati.
I didn't get to see that. I was too busy sitting at a dock waiting for a UPS truck to show up so I could take pictures of a box.
Let's talk about the fact that the Cleveland Browns played last night, though, under the rules that are the COVID rules, where you got the extended curfew because we're allowed to stay out a little bit later because there's a football game going on.
That was a hell of a football game.
That was a shitty situation.
Let's talk about the fact that they had to stop serving alcohol.
Did you just say that, Ed?
It was a shitty situation.
Oh my God, he's just letting shit fly tonight. Literally,
shit fly last night.
So, but seriously, they had to stop selling alcohol at 10 o'clock.
But they were allowed to stay out?
Correct.
Yes.
Because, COVID attacks if you're drinking after 10.
What are you going to do?
I had to skip out of the zoo on Saturday before 10 o'clock. I mean,
I don't understand.
Well, New Zealand already said that their country is virus-free, so I don't know what they did that we didn't do.
They're not taking you.
Aaron just banned Ed from an entire country.
I'm tweeting New Zealand, ask them if I can come.
All right, prepare for now. So we do get fans in the championship that Tulsa's still mad about. But as they were trying to accuse Cincinnati of ducking them last week for our benefit, doesn't turn out that actually benefited us at all.
No.
And we lost standing in the college football playoff because of it. So how'd that work out for you, Tulsa fans?
I mean, still fired up.
Trash takes.
Although OSU's Barstool was, let me see if pretty sure I retweeted it.
Barstool's looking for people to create Twitter accounts for cities. Somebody sent me.
That guy, one of the Michigan State folks that likes to poke Chad, tweeted at him and said, because since he is small time, finally you were realizing that. And he said, Chad said, I just checked the rankings and I must have missed Michigan State. Looked again, still nothing. He might be banned from the whole state of Michigan. I'm not sure.
Nothing would surprise
me. Cares.
No, certainly not.
Somebody just retweeted the college football playoff standings and then put every Cincinnati fan right now and then put a video of Yancey Gates just knocking out Kenny Freese.
Yeah, that one hurt. I did see that earlier. That one hurt.
That's a good one.
I don't think I. Oh yeah, I did. Barstool LSU just said Florida just lost at home to a horrible LSU team and somehow dropped a spot and still only 2 spots ahead of undefeated Cincinnati. The SEC bias is unreal. So I mean, they're bending it to their own need there, but
we call this segment reading.
Right,
this is
exactly.
what we read.
I mean, it just comes down to it. Like anything that we say is already out there in the Twitterverse, and it whatever.
It was really fun to be a part of it all for the hour before we were recording. I'll tell you that much.
Breaking news: Terry Easton's eating a bunch of tacos right now.
Who?
Easton.
What's wrong with you?
His mom is a great Twitter follow.
Just tweeted out a big taco spread.
A huge taco spread.
That's who we need. That's who we need to go have a talk with the playoff committee.
Nobody wants that smoke. No one wants that smoke.
No one. Can you imagine if we have a better record than a team this year in the March Madness, and she has to blow smoke on that one?
I don't know what's wrong with you tonight.
What did I do?
He's got hypnotic. He's got hypnotic in that glass.
You can't talk.
I can't talk tonight. The hypnotic's gone.
Oh my gosh!
You still have the bottle? Are you gonna put like water in it with some highlighter?
Ooh, highlighter? Ooh.
And then put a black light near it?
My son last week tried to grab the shot glass that I was drinking out of and try to drink out of it. Luckily,
to bed early.
Yeah, luckily it was all no good. But
so the men's basketball team, since we last recorded, did play 2 games. They eked one out against Furman.
Are you gone?
Nope.
No.
Oh, we're good. We're good. All right.
So they eked one out against Furman, and they lost to Tennessee. I only got to listen to the game against Furman as I was traveling.
Right.
But
the Furman was not bad. I thought it was a pretty good game. It was a pretty well-rounded game.
I mean, Furman's got some guys that can shoot the lights out, and we all know that UC struggles against defending the 3 ball. So
Kevin made sure to tell us that a bunch of times that this Furman team is not, a weak team. They're not,
I didn't think that they're a bad team. I mean, it's a team that UC should certainly beat. Like in it.
One of the things that Terry pointed out on the broadcast over the radio is that the guard play looked slow getting back on defense. Whether you're talking about DeJulius, whether you're talking about Keith Williams, whether you're talking about even Mikey Saunders, who is without a doubt the fastest player on the team, as Kevin likes to continually point out that he has elite speed. I think he's used those words about 48 times thus far in like all of 2 broadcasts. But that being said, did it look like that when you guys were watching it? I mean, I was, again, just listening to it, but
yeah, they were fast. I mean, they were pushing the ball down the court. I mean, it wasn't a slow-paced game at all. They were fast. I think DeJulius stepped up a little bit in that game, which, I mean, I don't mean to say he hasn't stepped up before. He has stepped up in a lot of games, but he ended up with 7 points. Keith Williams ended up with 27. Eason 8. So, I mean,
well, yeah, it was a huge game for Keith.
Yeah,
definitely his best game of the season.
Yes, definitely. And I think that was I think that leadership was evident in that win as well.
And that was also the first game that Tari Eason got to start, the first freshman starting.
Since Gary Clark?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was the first forward, because Micah Adams Woods started last year.
He wasn't a freshman, was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fairly certain. He's one of Brandon's boys.
That's fair. All right. I thought for some reason I thought he was a transfer. I don't know why.
I don't think so. Maybe he was a transfer.
Tari Eason was his first freshman power forward to start.
That's what it was.
So he did get to start, and we're all happy to see him in that role, as we definitely needed speed, and you couldn't have old stone feet out there with no speed at the 4 and Rap. So
well, all that dude does is dribble, spin, lose the ball, or
foul. He does foul.
I saw a stat that they have something like 20 some odd fouls between like Rap and Vote, and
Vote's fouled out in 3 games straight.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So he's got at least 15 in 4 games, plus whatever he got in the first game.
I mean,
so he might have 20 all by himself, or damn near.
It's
terrible. But as we're getting to
that's
it,
what happens when you can't catch up to anything.
Well, when you're talking about Tennessee, though, come on, man, you're looking at 26 fouls to 10. You're looking at 30 free throws to 7. Easy refs. Come on now, little bias there.
And I still think that was a game that UC should have won. I mean,
they had every opportunity, even with the refs stacked against them.
Absolutely.
But when you have DeJulius missing, I think 12 shots, which, we were just throwing up some desperation threes there at the end. You got to see Jeremiah Davenport have another good game as he hit 4 of 7 from 3. He continues to just play better than we ever expected him to play this year. I was concerned. I was concerned early in the season that he wasn't even going to get minutes. I wasn't sure where his minutes were going to come from, because I thought you were going to see way more of Zach Harvey than you've seen thus far. And obviously, if you have Mamadou coming in as opposed to Davenport going in at the 4, because we did hear the news that Mamadou opted out of the season prior to the Tennessee game, and so we're not going to get to see any more of Mamadou at least this season. It doesn't sound like he's coming back at all, which leaves Keith Williams as the only Mick Cronin guy left. But yeah, Davenport's been playing out of his mind. And it's good to see him come in. I know some people are calling him the human spark plug. I don't know. The dude just lives, breathes, and bleeds Cincinnati. He's a hometown kid, and it's really good to see him having that success out there on the hardwood.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
solid take, Aaron.
We just knew that we were going to be in trouble in that game when both Rap and Vote had three fouls in the first half, and
so did Keith.
Oh yeah, that's right. Keith did have 3 fouls. He only ended the end of the game with like 14 points, didn't he? 11.
I think he had as many minutes.
6 points. He ended that game with 6 points.
That's terrible. I think he had more. I think he played like 16 minutes total, and that seems like a stretch. I think they were rounding up on the minutes that he was in.
It's a possibility. Again, you said it on your other show. I'm not going to talk about it, but you said on your other show.
Trying not to bring it up, man. I know how much you love that.
But I just wanted to be like, you said it, and I don't want to be this, just like you. I don't want to be that person who blames the refs for everything. But you have to. It was not called fairly.
No, you just have to wonder what the hell you're looking at when you have, again, Lisa Brandon pointed it out on Twitter, and she's very rare to point out anything like that. I'm not sure if they can find a coach based on what his wife's out tweeting, but I don't think you see stuff like that very often, as the coach can't say these things. But, she's watching the game and she's seeing what we all see, where you see 26 fouls to 10, where you see 30 free throws to 7. And they went 25 of 30 as opposed to Cincinnati's 4 of 7 from the free throw line. Absolutely outrageous. Don't get me wrong. Tennessee they're the number 12 team in the nation. We weren't expected to win that game. And the team certainly gave you things to build hope and think that, this season isn't going to be a wash and just a complete rebuild. I'm excited to see what Cincinnati has coming up against South Florida as we open up the conference schedule before closing out the out of conference against Georgia at 8:00 on Saturday.
At the same time as the football game,
just the same time the football team plays, exact same time. No big deal.
What are you guys doing for that situation? Which games to be on the big screen, which games to be on the laptop?
If I'm not mistaken, Georgia Cincinnati is on ESPN Plus, as opposed to the AAC Championship, which will be on ABC. That said, if you have your subscription to ESPN Plus,
I do.
Simply watch the game on a laptop, on your phone, or if you have 2 TVs set up in your man cave, bingo bango. However, I'll be watching Plus on my phone or my laptop and watching the game, watching football on the TV.
A little bit of a little. What's that, Ed?
What?
You gonna watch that in your laundry room or?
No, this is just for podcast purposes, so I can hardwire.
I got you. The aesthetics in there are perfect. I appreciate that.
It's fine. I'm here for the show.
I would agree that I think I'm gonna have. I don't think it's a question. The football game will be on the main screen, and then basketball will be secondary on my phone or laptop or iPad or something.
Now, don't forget, as they play Tulsa, Tulsa does have arguably the defensive player of the year in all of college football, in Zaven Collins, their linebacker. So don't be surprised if some wild, crazy stuff does end up happening in this game. I just think that more often than not, we're going to be putting points up on the board as opposed to the defense stopping us.
Did you see the?
Hey, what's going on?
The all AAC team for football.
Did I see
today?
Yeah, how Cincinnati had
it's like UC
had a player at every position hit the first or second team, one or the other.
That's perfect.
And then,
but we don't belong to be, whatever.
The only position we didn't have, we had a punter, we had a kick returner, and then we had every actual position as far as like offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back, linebacker. The only thing we didn't have was kicker. And somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was. Otherwise, I'd give them credit for it. But somebody on Twitter, not me, made the joke. That's because we scored too much, so we didn't actually have our kicker out here taking field goals. So kudos, Bearcats.
Nope, he's just taking care of business with the
problem to have.
actors.
It's a good problem to have.
I don't know. I mean, they gotta take care of business against Tulsa. Just is what it is. I mean, I think if they put up 100 points on Tulsa, they'll probably drop down to like 11 or 12. So,
well, that's because Tulsa's not from Louisiana, and we'd have to lose in order to move up. Come on, man, that's how the math works. You have to lose to Louisiana teams to move up.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Unreal.
I wish I would have learned more math.
More maths?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
College Football National Signing Day is tomorrow.
Yes.
And Cincinnati is bragging quite a class as they had a 3-star defensive lineman add today in Robert Jackson.
Big boy.
Yeah. He is a bit, I think 6'5" and like 265 or something like that. Yeah,
hey,
it's a big boy.
Speaking of which,
high 3-star. Speaking of which one?
Did you see that tweet from John Cunningham about 2 hours ago?
No. I was busy tweeting at everybody who was talking about the CFP.
It's a GIF of the I can't remember who this comedian's name is, and as soon as people go look at the tweet, they're like, Rodney Dangerfield adjusting his tie. That's all it is.
You know why?
Why?
Because his go-to line was "no respect."
Okay, that's fair then. All right. I just wondered if he had some big news because I know there's been some conference changes in some conferences.
It was him making a subtle jab at the college football playoff, which, subtle jabs are cute and all, but we should really be preparing for court with the rest of all of the other G5 conferences and taking this entire college football playoff committee, which is made up of 13 of 15 members from the Power 5 conferences, as opposed to two.
Was it? What's that?
I'm just so mad. There's only 2 people on this entire committee from the G5, whereas 13 of 15 have Power 5 affiliations. It's all horseshit.
Well, Oklahoma has a guy on there, right?
Iowa.
So, hi. I don't know where you came from. Shouldn't you be in bed? Oh, no. So Oklahoma's got a guy on there, right? So it's in their best interest to move Iowa State up as far as possible. So when they beat them in the Big 12 championship, they can then say, oh, well, look, we just beat the number, 6th team in the country.
I don't know if the line's moved, but the line was -6 in Oklahoma's favor. And I don't know if that's still the case for the game this week or not.
Hey, one day, can we have a podcast talking about betting? I don't understand how all that works. Like the line and +1, +2. I do not understand.
That's what the spread is, man.
So what's the spread?
So, okay. So as we look at Oklahoma, Iowa State, right now it sits at Oklahoma -5.5. That means Oklahoma is favored 5.5 points. So if they don't win the game by 5.5 points, if you take Iowa State on that bet, you win the bet if they don't cover that 5.5 point spread. It's like giving them a head start.
So if they win by 6, then you win the
If you
bet.
took Oklahoma, yes.
Yeah, if you took Oklahoma. Okay, all right. I need to learn this stuff because when we finally get voting, when we finally get gambling in Ohio, I'm getting on FanDuel.
All you have to do is drive across the state line to Indiana, download FanDuel to your phone, and you can place your bet once you're in the state, and then drive right back home.
Yeah.
Okay, not all of us live that close to the Indiana border like you two. Some of us live out here on the east side.
I'm on the east side of 71 as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We could also get like a VPN, right? And
I mean, you could do that too, yeah, and that makes it illegal what you're doing. But
well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. That's not.
But if I did,
that's something you could do, right? Like,
right.
Hypothetically, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Cincinnati's favored right now by 14. That line hasn't moved at all since I've seen it yesterday. So, but as people bet, the line will move. So it depends on where you can get it.
We're not just finding it out; it's just finally hitting us as a team that deserves to be in the college football playoffs. But
I mean, it's not even. I'm not even shocked by it. It's more so. It's more so.
People who are. Let me stop you both. People who are listening to this can't read this.
Oh.
So Mike writes in, "Are you just finding out that college football is just about the money? Why are you shocked by this?" That's how radio works. So to answer your question, no, we're not just finding out that college football is about money. We saw it happen a couple of years ago in Central Florida, and they got hosed for not 1 but 2 years straight. I'm already mentally preparing myself for the fact that if we go to Notre Dame next year, if we go to Indiana next year, and we beat both teams, the College Football Playoff Committee is simply going to make sure neither of those teams remain ranked for the rest of the year. That way, it doesn't help boost us into the College Football Playoff. Also, there's no way that any American Athletic Conference team will remain ranked at the end of the year either. It's all just a ploy to not let anybody else have a seat at the big kids table.
If anybody has a 3D printer, hit me up because I want to 3D print a college football championship ring for Fickle and send it on over to him.
Huh. Wait until the season's over until you're making championship. I mean, what if we lose to Tulsa or...
You have one, don't you? I just thought about that. You have one, don't you?
What?
Yeah. We're 3 rings over here.
You have to finish the season out, man. Get out of here.
Put
the cart before the horse.
Fair. All right. That's a good point.
2 games still.
There it is.
Oh, your heater?
There goes the AC, yeah, or the heat pump, yep.
I mean, to answer that, like my take on it is not so much that I'm shocked by it. I'm more shocked by the fact that they're no longer hiding behind the that it's not all about money, that it's about the
Oh,
best
no.
teams. You know, they've hid behind that forever, and even though they're making some like really bad effort at hiding behind, you know, oh well, we looked at this stuff and UC hasn't played and they don't have any top 25 current, you know, ranked top 25 wins, and don't look over at these teams that also don't have those things but are ranked ahead of. We're not doing that right now.
Or the teams that have losses.
I mean, it's insane.
We could talk about
but I'm more shocked by the fact that it is
This obvious.
so blatant anymore.
They stopped caring that they've completely shown their hand. All cards are on the table. There is no more smoke and mirrors. It's all become completely transparent what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's unfortunate.
And there's nothing we can do about it either because it's all private.
Again, you know, like I said, UCF went through this just a couple years ago where they had 2 straight undefeated years and had to declare themselves national champions, including hanging a banner at the stadium because they couldn't get the respect from the College Football Playoff Committee.
If you print banners, get at me. Hit me up on the DM. We should make a t-shirt. Make a t-shirt.
Ed's got a 2008 flag football championship banner he needs to print.
He hung his flags in the rafters down there.
Yeah, it's down here.
100% he did that.
I love you, Ed.
I'm gonna go get it.
Oh God. So, all that being said, he's gonna come back here and have no idea what we're doing.
No, but he's gonna be really proud of his flag.
So, the Bengals played a game this week.
Who?
It still has to be mentioned. The Bengals played a game this week. And I got to tell you, I didn't know anything about Brandon Allen prior to him coming in. And I don't hate Brandon Allen as this team's backup next year.
No. I sent a text message in a group chat that I'm in, and I just said, I like this guy. And I do. I mean,
he's out there
on one leg competing like he's playing in the Super Bowl.
He's tough.
And not for a team that's 4 wins over the last.
She hates the Bengals.
She does. She's not very happy about them. But I mean, you got a team that's got 4 wins in 2 years, and he's out there hobbling around on one leg, giving it everything he's got. And I get it. He, next year likely, as long as everything goes right, Burrow's back, and if he's still here, he's relegated back to being on the bench. So
right.
But I can respect it.
Way better than Finley being on the bench behind Joe Burrow. At least you got a guy. And bear in mind, he's only been with the team, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks now?
4 weeks, I think.
They grabbed him off the practice squad, yeah?
So I'm sure. They signed him off the street.
I thought he was on the practice squad.
He was on the practice squad.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that they pulled a guy off the practice squad and then started him over Finley.
Yeah, he was on the Bengals. He was on the Bengals practice squad.
Oh shit!
They signed him. They literally signed him off the practice squad, and we were like, "Hey, Finley, you are still back up."
And he shouldn't even be that. He's terrible. He's terrible.
But at the end of the game, he came out hobbling. Then Finley went in. Finley came out hobbling. Like, I don't think we're going to have a quarterback for this week. Well, we obviously have a quarterback this weekend, but
the Broncos played without a quarterback. It's fine. It's 2020. Anything goes.
That's a good point.
Hey, but the Broncos weren't able to win that game.
We aren't either with a quarterback.
The Steelers are on a losing streak right now, bud.
It's true. They're vulnerable.
We're not beating this. Come on, man.
Hey, weirder things have happened.
I have a question.
We're not great.
Wait a minute. If the Bengals beat the Steelers, does that mean that the Browns win?
Let's not kid ourselves. This has to be the Super Bowl for the remaining Bengals players that are still playing right now this
Dude,
season.
if I was on the Bengals team, if I was playing for the Bengals, I would be opting out. I would have opted out already, but I would just opt out. Let's see you
for the rest of the season.
Well, so speaking of opting out, what do you do with Zach Taylor at this point?
I hope he opts out on his own.
Yeah, he needs to go.
I think it's been since Bruce Coslett, since a coach actually stepped away without being fired, if you will. I think it was one of those step away or we're going to fire you situations.
But here's the thing: is Zach Taylor, like you can tell with his post-game press conferences that dude will never step down without being told to step down.
No, he's just
they're like, hey, what do you think? Maybe have somebody else to look into like calling the plays on offense. And he's like, oh, everything is going great.
I'm pretty happy with the way we're working right now.
We're just a couple plays away from getting the job done.
Right up here at the top. It's soon gonna.
We're not getting over the hump. Not this season. Not last season. Come on, man.
Same thing.
I think
same thing.
I think he's become undone by the staff that he's put around himself in Lou Anarumo, his homeboy from on the offensive line, whose name Jim Turner. His name was evading me there for a moment. And the fact that he wants to just why is he calling the plays? Like, dude, you're not even coaching well. Why are you also calling the plays?
It's not good.
It's not good at all.
I mean, there's really not a lot. Week after week, it's just like this.
There's nothing to put hope in.
The only thing to put hope in is
on the bench
for the rest of the
year.
year.
Just had surgery, which apparently went really well.
Well, I take that back. There are a couple pieces on offense that Joe Mixon, he took the right
yes,
look at
Joe
it.
Mixon.
He stayed out of it for the rest of the year.
AJ Green should be gone. I know he played for the first time all season this week. I think that's when he actually looked like he was actually running routes at least half the game. I don't know if he did it for the whole game.
I think he's like one touchdown away from tying Ocho Cinco's.
It doesn't surprise me. He's got more touchdowns than Julio Jones, and that stat surprised me, as they both came out in the same draft class.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I was just saying,
what do we do though?
But wait a minute.
I don't want
to move on yet, as we're still talking about Zach Taylor. What about the fact that he took out Gio Bernard?
Oh, yeah.
After a fumble. Dude hasn't fumbled in something like 730 attempts.
Over 800 carries. 2013 was the last time he put the ball on the ground.
And you're going to just pull him like that? As he's the only one with the media sticking up for you, Zach Taylor, saying that you're the leader of this team.
I think it might have been Lance. I think it was Lance McAllister went on like a tweet storm.
As he's one to do, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, but what else are you like? How can you like this guy? It's not like he drops a ball every. Ezekiel Elliott had like 3 fumbles on 3 straight possessions, and they left him in the game. And I realize Dallas isn't like world beaters this year or anything, but like, come on, the dude fumbles one time in 7 years. I don't even know how long Zach Taylor's been coaching in the NFL at different places.
Not 7 years. Because Zach Taylor played with Tuberville, or coached with Tuberville, and let's see, Fickle's only been with us for 4 years, 4 or 5 years, so not 7 years.
This is his 4th year. This is him having a full team at this point.
Yeah. I mean, how great was that, though, as well, for Andy to come back into town and just destroy, especially since Zach Taylor benched him on his birthday last year. Like, that had been some nice revenge for him.
I mean, I couldn't care less that it was his birthday. He just did him dirty in the fact that, like, just the way he did it.
Yes.
To give Ryan Finley a shot.
Well, that's because but you're now talking about the same guy, like you just said, that benched Gio Bernard after a fumble,
and
for the first time in 7 years.
Didn't tell Carlos Dunlap, "Hey, we're demoting you." He had to find out on the whiteboard.
He just doesn't have any kind of like ability to lead a team to anything other to lead a team to anything other than a losing season.
No tact. Like, I don't know how the players at this point are respecting him at all. Because, again,
I don't think they are.
With Gio being the only one that you ever heard in the media in his corner, and you just took him out of a game in which he fumbled.
Yeah, I don't think
having done so since 7 years ago.
I mean,
it's not a good look. But let's be honest, Mike Brown's not going to fire him. He's not going to walk away. We're stuck with him for a while.
I don't know. I think
if you have the quarterback already. This isn't Andy Dalton where you believed you were going to get to a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton. He didn't have that same charisma. You never felt entirely that way, except for the year where he broke his thumb against the Steelers. And then everything happened straight from the depths of hell on that football field. And I don't like to relive that night.
I was at that
However, I may have cried. But yeah, it's just they're so bad. It's hard to watch. I find other things to do. I'll still put the game on, but I find other things to do.
I went shopping.
I mean, I turned it on. Like, I wanted to watch Andy Dalton hopefully put the final dagger in Zach Taylor's tenure here. So
him and his wife are adorable. It has to be said. Him and his wife are adorable.
Well, did you see the sign that was up there?
Yeah,
like where they always put the sign.
Yeah,
and it basically was just like, thank you. And I thought it was good of the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals.
After they booed him out of here,
I don't think the Bengals did that. That was fans.
I'm saying after the fans booed him out of here when he left last season.
Yeah,
they booed him at the softball game, the celebrity softball game at the All-Star.
After he hit home run.
Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's so okay. Hypothetically, when the contract's up at Paul Brown Stadium, would you be upset if the Bengals moved and we didn't have a pro football team in Cincinnati?
100%.
You would be upset.
I'd be upset.
Okay.
No shot.
At this point, I don't know that I would.
Well, it doesn't affect your taxes because you don't live in the county, so I'm not sure why you're worried about it one way or the other.
I'm a sports fan. I mean, that's the thing. I'm a sports fan. So, I mean, I enjoyed that Cleveland game last night.
Again, I had it on my phone while I was playing video games. So I watched like the first half, and then I got a notification, and then I never turned the game back on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think my whole thing is like, I don't think the Bengals win anything worth talking about with their current ownership. I just don't think they do, and it's sad and it hurts my feelings. But it's Cincinnati to a T. It really, I mean, we all grew up Bengals fans,
and I think that's why you're a little clouded on your memory here. You had like what 6 of 7 years or something like that where Andy made the playoffs. Prior to that, you had Carson Palmer.
Did they win anything?
I understand, but there's some teams looking at you, New York Jets, looking at you, Cleveland Browns, that didn't even make the playoffs during some of those runs.
Right, but like when does doing that really replace what you're out there for? And it's like championships. And I get it. There's only one team that wins a championship every year, but.
And unfortunately, we had to live during the Tom Brady era where he won all the rings.
All the rings.
But it's not like, the Bengals were in those Super Bowls, or really AFC championship games,
No, because we somehow always we always end up with a Steelers draw.
Yeah.
And the 1 year we're supposed to
you got to beat everybody to get there to win.
Except for the Jets and the Chargers. There might have been a Colts team in there. I don't remember.
I mean, there were like 4 or 5 years where, my wife and I had season tickets, and I was burning all kinds of time at work to take off to go to the games, and,
how'd that work?
I would never. Probably this year was probably the best year to do it if I was going to, but the product on the field sucked. I will never take my kids to a football game until they're far older. And like when I went to
because of drunk assholes like me.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm not gonna try and hide it behind anything because that was me when I was at Bengals games when I had season tickets. But I feel like I had a right to because I had season tickets. Damn it, and they were really expensive.
We got Mike asking, are we satisfied with the number 3 pick, or would we want the Jags to win and the Bengals to get the number 2 and then trade for more draft capital?
Well, here's the thing.
I want the offensive lineman from Oregon.
I want an offensive.
Where we land,
I don't want us to trade for any more draft capital. I also don't want us to not go out and at least make it look like a game. Like if we beat the Steelers this week, I'd actually be okay with it because I hate the Steelers. And to do it on Monday night would be that much funnier. Although that would 1,000% mean that Zach Taylor was not getting fired. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It's a great point because it's the end of the season. Look, he was turning it around. Mike Brown will use that as an excuse. Yep.
It's a double-edged sword. That said, I'm not sure who's going to run the ball this week because, well, Gio fumbles and Young Williams fumbles, and everyone apparently fumbled this week. So I don't know who's going to run the ball. I don't know what quarterback's healthy this week. I don't know.
Do they have anybody else on the practice squad?
We got 2 kickers. We got Randy Bullock and this Seibert kid who doinked it off the field goal post and almost missed a extra point. Because why wouldn't you carry 2 kickers? You don't carry 2 kickers on a fantasy football team. Why are we carrying 2 kickers on an NFL roster?
I feel like you went on this rant last week.
I did. None of it makes sense. It's horrible management.
So we just replayed Aaron's rant from last week.
We're playing the hits. It's fine. It's still worth ranting. I make fun of people in fantasy football who have, I don't want them in my league if they have 2 kickers at any point in time.
Speaking of fantasy football, I've had a really rough year. I started out the season, I had Dak Prescott as my quarterback. That went bad. Then I replaced him with Drew Brees, and that's also gone bad. So I've had to put in Carson Wentz, who is I think actually you tweeted that you were done with him and booted him off your team.
Yeah, sure did.
I think the last couple of weeks I've had Ryan Tannehill. He's been all right. He's been serviceable. I did have Swift, the running back from the Lions. He's been in and out of the lineup because he's been hurt with he had COVID for a little bit. Who else? Oh, Christian McCaffrey. I had him. And I've held on to him. And the one game he came back, he dropped a 20 bomb. So maybe if I can find a way to play Zach Taylor, then he'll be gone.
Well, find whatever defense plays the Bengals, and you're usually pretty good there, right?
I picked up Dallas last week. That's 20 points.
Also, Jalen Hurts, if he's still out there as a free agent, swoop him up because that dude, he can play. And Philly still has those same horrible receiving core that they've had.
Hey, what's the NFC East look like right now? Are they still gonna have? Are they still gonna win?
I think the Bengals would still be in a playoff position in the NFC East.
So I drafted Cam Newton as my quarterback, and then that didn't work out very well at the beginning of the season. So I picked up Fitzmagic. Then Fitzmagic got replaced with Toluga, whatever his name is.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, that's it. And so now I have to roll with Cam.
I have Cam, Tua, and Jalen Hurts on my team currently.
Cool. I might hurt.
Do you have anybody else?
It's a keeper league. It's fine. I'm just trying to make moves. I'm already out of the playoffs. It's no big deal.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm in the semifinals this week. So,
all right. Well, I think we're losing listeners if anybody is even still listening. Yeah. Anything that we want to touch on with the Reds because there hasn't been a whole lot of movement there.
They signed another project pitcher today. His name is because Bell came out this week and said, I think it was either Bell or Kroll. Kroll.
One of them said, one of them said this week that we don't have any bullpen issues. What are you talking about?
No. They came out. Kroll said that they were looking to shore up their bullpen. Doug Gray tweeted about it today.
never mind the fact that you had two guys that you
Right.
let go that were
like, hey, we need some bullpen help. Marcel, see you later. Hey, Archie Bradley, you did pretty good. See you later. Like,
AG closer.
I liked Archie.
I did too. All square beard. Good guy.
I was okay with
And
them
he was
moving Rysel.
intense.
Like camping?
Listen, Ed 2.0. Calm down with that.
What? Oh, I missed that.
But it'll be interesting to see kind of what develops over the next month with the Reds.
It sounds like Bauer says that we're still in on him.
Sorry, I had to laugh at that.
No, I mean, I think a lot. I know we talked about it last week and briefly in some of the other roundtables, but I mean,
they've moved out some dollars.
And
So
I saw today that they're projected with like $121 million payroll, which is about $20 million less than last year, but still about on par with 2019. So like, not
probably depends on where Bauer wants to go. If you can somehow get Bauer back here, maybe you have the same payroll. Again, I go back to the fact
about a shortstop.
I go back to the fact that you made $194 million over the last decade. I'm sure you got some. I'm sure you got some money there if you want to win. If you really actually, because I can't believe that you're actually in the business of owning a sports team to not bring home a championship, unless you're Mike Brown.
We bought that new giant LED screen, so it's gone.
Oh.
The county paid for that.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying they're going to say they don't have any money.
The county pays for that.
I don't care. I'm just saying the Bengals are going to say they don't have any money.
Bengals? I'm talking about the Reds. Ed?
What's happening?
How much? What is the?
Sip some more.
Cup you've been sipping on?
Sip some more Bearcat bourbon there, Ed. Good God.
How many glasses
All right.
Right.
And I think that ends the show. So for Ed and his Bearcat bourbon.
Hold on. Hit the plugs.
Don't forget, you can check me out anytime you want on www.bearcatjournal.com, where I write and have another podcast. Outside of that, you can check us out at ptpcincy.wordpress.com. Supposedly, Ed's going to be putting out some more content there. Hopefully, he sends it to me to proofread before he puts it out there, because he can't spell chili. Living in Cincinnati, can't spell chili. Somehow it ended up with 2 L's. I'm going to blame that on Bearcat Bourbon as well. Don't forget, you can also find us at PTP Cincy podcast on Twitter, Bearcat Nation, and Pardon the Punctuation on Facebook. Anything else that you want me to plug?
Don't forget to check out the merch. I think it's too late to order anything before Christmas, but go ahead and get some merch. We should get some hats. And also, don't forget to go to our website and check out Boss Man Brands for all your beard care needs. I mean, if you check out this fiery mane we got going on right here.
It looks Amish. That's how good it makes his beard look. It looks Amish. And those people grow beards professionally.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. Use promo code ED15 to get 15% off your purchase.
There you have it, folks. Again, for Ed and his Bearcat Bourbon, for Jeff and his hat wardrobe change, I'm Aaron, and we're out.
See ya.